Morning Futures exclusive, live from the southern border in Texas, where he is up close and personal with the issues. The chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Congressman Michael McCaul. Chairman McCaul was one of the 107 House Republicans to join 207 Democrats in voting to keep funding the federal government through early March without new border funding. Mr. Chairman, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, Maria.
So why did you do it? Why did you kick the can down the road and continue funding this government when you are up close and personal at the border and you see the devastating impact?
Well, I didn't kick any can down the road. I didn't want to take my football and go home and not play on the football field. You can't win the game if you're not on the field. And the fact is, it would jeopardize our military readiness at a very dangerous time, our veterans. And you know what? I was with our Border Patrol all day yesterday. For me to come home and tell them, we're not going to give you your paychecks to do your job, that's insulting. What we need, Maria, is about a month to get this right. We want to get a border security package. We didn't have it in agreement. And that's unfortunate. The whole process should have been done a year ago, but we had to make a decision where we were. I think we made the responsible decision. Going home with their football and not being on the field doesn't solve anything.
All right, fair point, Mr. Chairman. Let's talk about what you're seeing up close and personal there at the border, because we're talking about murder, we're talking about fentanyl poisoning, we're talking about 10 million illegals coming into America on President Biden's watch. What can you tell us? What have you learned?
It's gotten worse. First day in office, he rescinds the very policies that were working that I worked with in the Trump administration, that being remain in Mexico, migrant protection protocols. That was a direct cause and effect, as Border Patrol Chief Ortiz told us. Once that policy was rescinded, then the magnet pull factor came in, bringing 8 million encounters at the border, 300 on the terror watch list, for God's sakes. When I chaired Homeland, that would be a big red flag. The FBI director said as much. And then, sadly, we had two mothers testify for our committee who lost their loved ones. One to fentanyl. Another daughter got raped by an MS-13 gangbanger from Honduras. This is the real-life tragedy that we are seeing, on the ground. It's tearing apart the fabric of this nation, and it's a human tragedy, and it needs to stop. And I'm going down to Mexico City to talk to the president of Mexico and all the elected officials and government officials. Stop sending fentanyl into the United States. Stop the flow of migrants into the United States. But we can't effectuate the Trump policies that had worked so well without Mexico's cooperation. And that's why I'm going down there.
Congressman, a couple of weeks ago, we had all these demands coming from the president of Mexico, right? We're not going to help you unless you do 1, 2, 3. I'm wondering who's really running Mexico. Do you get a sense that the president of Mexico is in charge, or are these dangerous drug cartels running Mexico?
I think the latter. I think you have a president who's playing laissez-faire with them. Play nice in your sandbox, don't kill each other. And by the way, bring home the bacon. And that's a model that has to stop. President Trump, he threatened them with tariffs and said, look, if you don't agree to remain in Mexico, and simply what that means, Maria, is their political asylum claims are adjudicated outside the United States. What we saw yesterday is we don't have enough detention space. So they release them, catch and release, into society. That is the key here that has to stop. And it's not throwing a bunch of money down here. It's policy changes.
Yeah. I thought it was really interesting that suddenly President Biden claims that the border is not secure. He claims he's been saying this for 10 years, Congressman. Now he's admitting it with 2 days before New Hampshire and 289 days before the election. Do you believe that Republicans can actually unite at this moment in time against the Biden policies and actually make a change at the border?
We have to. And this epiphany is very interesting. I was in the White House with the National Security Chairman. He told me, I know the border's broken. I know it needs to be fixed. I know we need significant change down there, in his words. But what does that mean? I told them what it means, and that is change the policies, go back to the policies that were working under the prior administration where we were actually securing this border. It's not rocket science. We can get this done, and Republicans will stand together. But you know what? A lot of Democrats agree with us, and they know the maps. They know this is an 80-20 issue, and they know that if they can go back home and say they did something, because it's not just here, Maria, it's in New York, it's in Ohio, it's everywhere across the nation that's impacted. And thank God my governor has sent the migrants to New York so they can get a little bit of taste about what we experience here in Texas.
Yeah, we're going to talk with Governor Greg Abbott tomorrow morning on Mornings with Maria over on Fox Business. That'll be important to talk about what he's been doing there. But let me get your take, Mr. Chairman, on what's going to happen with Alejandro Mayorkas this week. You've got another hearing in terms of this impeachment hearing. Are you going to be able to take this across the finish line and impeach Mayorkas?
We have to. You know, I'm one voice, but I represent 800,000 people. When I go home, number one issue, border. And this one man is the architect of destruction down here. One man has caused all this chaos, deaths of fentanyl poisoning, you know, danger to the country with terrorists coming in, 8 million encounters with no legal status. He is the architect. He has destroyed the fabric of this nation. He is the one who has injured society, as the founding fathers talked about. Breach of public trust was sufficient for impeachment by the founding fathers, and we intend to go forward. Chairman Mark Green's doing a great job. We're working together. Articles of impeachment January 31st, and we will impeach them after that.
All right. We will be watching that. Mr. Chairman, I know that you're going to Mexico City, and you've also been to that lab where they're collecting fentanyl, and you're doing lots of work there. Thanks for going to the border, sir, and thank you for joining me this morning.
Well, thanks for having me, Maria, always.
All right. Congressman Michael McCaul this morning.